Well, a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Delta T Racing. Thursday night, it's Division 5, and we are at round number 12, the final race of the season, coming from Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. 28 laps of a 5.5 kilometer circuit, 9 right-hand turns and 11 left-hand turns on this anti-clockwise circuit. As we know from last week, the championship has now been sewn up. Hans Buer is our division champion. Sorry, I'm just doing two things at once here. Is our division champion for this year. So just a little graphic for him there. Congratulations to him taking Division 5 championship this season. Also McLaren tying up the constructors as well. So it was a good weekend for them last weekend, putting it all to bed and giving himself a race to spare. But we still do have position number 2 up for grabs in the championship. Let's pop the table up. And we'll have a look. As you can see, Crudor currently in second place in the Alpine, 136 points. Prize Phantom is the only man that can catch him on 116, so 20 points behind. It's a big ask, but you never know. Obviously a DNF and a win for Prize could turn that around. And the reason that second place is important is that that will actually qualify you for the Race of Champions next week. So that'll be a good event, obviously, for everybody to tune into. Normally quite good fun. But okay, so that's second and third. Fourth, Kurznikov is no longer racing, but Havoc will look at trying to get a couple of points just to get past him in the final standings. Then we have Jurek, Nerdy, Skipper, Chef JB, and MBB rounding out the top 10. So Double was just about to start a hot lap, but that was a bit too hot. Who's next? These light blues get me every week. It's MBB, isn't it? So MBB will be the first. Well, let's jump on board with him and follow his lap round. We should put the benchmark down for everybody else. Like that he won't. So MBB will need to abort that lap. Who's behind him? Light blue, is it Crudor? I'm sure Crudor would have probably had to come off the throttle slightly there, but still puts in a purple sector 1. But obviously he's the only one really to complete sector 1 on a flying lap, so it would be purple. Crudor looking to tie up this second place in the championship, and obviously the qualification for the Race of Champions. Got some good drivers that have already qualified for this. We're just obviously waiting for attendance, etc., to be set up, so we know exactly who we will have. Then cars will be given to them. Obviously it's realistic cars, so Division 1 drivers like No Jug, obviously being champion, will be starting in probably the Williams, whereas Division 5 champions, so Crudor, Hans Buer and Jurek, who would be the qualification as it stands, would probably get the Red Bulls and then the Ferrari. But Crudor now coming round to cross the line, so it's a 1:35.130. MBB will be next, 55.2, so that's his out lap. Double also on an out lap, so we've got a few on an out laps trying to pick up the right person. Looks like Prize is a 35.227. Who's next? One of the Ferraris. It was Composite popping up in the 4th place there, and Nerdy, 34.9 by Nerdy. That's a cracking lap. It was good to see Nerdy get back into contention last week. 35.4 for Havoc there. So after the first brisk round. Nerdy taking the advantage of 2/10 ahead of Crudor. Prize just a 10th further back. We still have people on laps. Frax is currently on an out lap and has not invalidated. I think he lost enough time that it didn't invalidate, but it is going to ruin that lap for him. 38.120, so puts him down into 6th. I don't think anybody is going for 2 hot laps because I don't believe you'll get enough of a recharge in your ERS. So Jurek is going to be the next person to start a fast lap. So we'll watch on board with him. Through the S section here. So easy to invalidate. If you nail it, you can get it absolutely bang on. But Jurek looks like he has, I think he's bolted that, or he's just doing a second warm-up because he hasn't turned his ERS on. Had a purple first sector, which wasn't bad considering he's not running any ERS. So either he's forgotten to turn it on and he's on a lap. So he does seem to be going for it, but he's going to struggle down here without the ERS on. Bear with me just one moment. I'm just going to see if I can invite. Unfortunately, I can't invite anybody in. Sorry, Kieran, I can't get you back in, my friend. Kieran looks like he's been kicked out. I'm hoping that somebody else that is watching will be able to invite him back, but unfortunately it's not allowing me to. Hopefully Baldy or Prize will be able to do that for you. Just put the message in. Apologies, just popped that in. Hopefully Kieran will get an invite soon and be back. Be back with us. Right, okay, so Jurek is now on a lap, obviously putting in a 36.721. Still not using his ERS though. So I'm not sure if he is on a lap or not. Let's pop back to double going through the S's. He is on a second lap looking at the amount of ERS that he has. Right, Baldy. Kieran's back in now. He is on his out lap, so it's good to see. Got him back in the game. Right, so staying on board with Baldy now, going along the start finish. Oh, the start finish line, the back straight. So the left-hander here can cut an awful lot of that corner there. But again, you don't want to cut too much because it'll unsettle the car, and you can get an invalidation there. Turn there, and this again, turn 16, 17 and 18, all really just one bend, but it does cause havoc during the race. Once tyre wear starts to kick in, you get people starting to lose grip there, getting thrown out onto the left hand side onto the marbles. You'd be surprised just how many spinners we see there, but hopefully we won't see too many tonight. But Baldy there putting it in the 56.0 to take him up into 6th place. Skipper is on a fast lap. Oh, so is Nerdy on a lap. Just want to keep an eye on Nerdy and Prize. So Prize putting in a purple 2nd sector there, so he is looking at improving on his time and needs to improve a 10th, and he'll be up into 2nd, but needs 3/10 for pole position. So Prize, I think, has had 4 pole positions this year, so it's not new to him. Just has a problem turning those pole positions into race wins. Has had 1 race win this year, 34.4, so a good lap there. Nerdy now coming through to follow. He's 4/10 up on his as well, so again we're looking at 34.4, 34.5 roundabout for Nerdy, 34.3. So times are tumbling down now, which is good to see. Skipper doing a bit of cross country there, we'll leave him alone. Frax just about to start his hot lap. Bit wide through the S's there, compromises this corner here, so need to get a bit tighter up onto that curb. Floors it now down, heading towards the hairpin. Turn number 11 onto the long back straight in the DRS zone. Coming up now, soon after turn number 12 ahead will be the end of sector 2, so we'll see how he is doing on his time of 38.1. And he's 0.6 up. They're currently looking about 37.5. Certainly don't think he is going to be troubling the front runners here. Jump with Crudor. So I haven't seen his splits, I can't see if we are purple or not, but he comes into the last turn now, turn number 20. Short sprint across the start finish line and doesn't improve. Baldy is improving on his time now. I think Composite's just ahead. We'll see how he does with his time. A big improvement there. MBB will be next across the line. Another big improvement, 0.6 of a second improvement there. So times are starting to tumble now. I think we're going to have one last hurrah. I wonder if we are going to get anybody down into the 33s. Baldy putting in a 35.7 there, cementing 7th place. Double is going to be next, coming through the tough turns 16, 17 and 18 here. And get this right, turn number 19 again. It's somewhere where you can gain or lose a couple of tenths. It can be essential. Double starting his lap now. Who do we have? Is it Havoc coming through? He has invalidated, so it's not going to help him. MVP, he's invalidated as well, but he's on an in lap, so not going to be too much for him. Skipper, I think Composite is on a lap. Just getting his way past a couple of cars there. Hopefully it didn't hinder him too much. He's going to cross the line, 36.143 into 8th place. Sol McLaren this week of Jurek Hands. Haven't, well, I've mentioned obviously that he's won the title, but he's missing from the lineup today. Unfortunately, hands isn't very well, so I think he's probably happy that he managed to tie it up in the last race. But a big shout out to him. Congratulations on your title. It's been a pleasure to watch you this year, and I wish you well. Hopefully you get yourself better for the Race of Champions next week, and then we'll see what division you are placed in next year. Okay, so prize is about to start another lap. Crew door easing off, yeah, so we'll wait. Where is crew door actually? Okay, so he'll be starting. So prize there, trying a little bit too hard. Don't know if he's got any wing damage there. I don't think he has, just a bit of pride damage. So no real dramas. Turn the ERS off, get the tyres back under control and give it another go. Crew door is coming into the pits. So how long do we actually have left? Just over a minute. So that will be the end of crew door's effort, as a prize will be able to go again. Kieran hasn't managed to get a time in yet. Obviously with disconnection issues. I'm hoping he can get himself a time at least up onto the grid. So Nerdy now going for what will be his final attempt, obviously to try and consolidate that pole position, try and get a little bit quicker than the 34.333. Obviously prize behind is going to be on a lap as well soon. Just calming down those tyres a bit after that spin. Drop back a bit, give yourself a bit of a gap there, prize. But right, Nerdy now coming on to the back straight. DRS open, we'll be heading down towards turn number 12, and then we will see what his sector 2 time is. Kieran has managed to put a time on the board. As I turn away, I lose Nerdy's split. So, but yeah, Kieran, glad he got back in with a 35.4, popping himself up into 4th place. So a cracking lap by him. And look like we've got a Mercedes crossing the line, and the other AlphaTauri of Chef. I haven't mentioned Chef too much today. So Nerdy 34.0. So he is on it. Phantom up by 0.2 of a second. Needs to find another 0.2 to snatch pole position from Nerdy. Crew door now finished on a 34.8. Keep an eye on prize to see if he can get this gap down. We've got a Ferrari just crossing the line. Composite doesn't improve. Brother Adam does, up to 9th place with a 35.756. BB Bowdy, I think it is, crossing the line next. Doesn't improve on 10th. So prize is still 0.2 up, but that's 0.2 up on his own time. Still going to put him 0.2 down. Oh, and that's blown it. So that is going to be pole position for Nerdy. So we have a couple of binners happening late on there. Chef popping up into 4th place. So good day for the AlphaTauris there with 1st and 4th. So prize will come round to cross the line. Nerdy. Just on his on his in lap again, pushing probably a little bit too hard. Right, who do we have crossing the line now? I think it's MBB. Improves on time but not on position, so 7th place there. So that is the end of qualifying. A fantastic pole position for Nerdy by 0.4 of a second, so he is on it this week. It's good to see. Prize Phantom taking second place, as I think he would have been a bit quicker than that, but unfortunately just pushed it too hard, spinning. Havoc Connor taking third, Crudor fourth, and Chef JB topping out the top 5. And we'll go through the rest of the grid in just a moment. Right, okay, so the grid for today is Nerdy taking pole position in the AlphaTauri, Prize Phantom coming home second in the Alfa Romeo. Havoc will start at the front of the second row in the Mercedes, with Crudor in fourth. Fifth, we have Chef JB in sixth, Kieran. Seventh, MBB. Eighth, Jurek. In ninth, Brother Adam, BV Baldi in 10th. Then we have Composite in 11th. 12th is the Mighty Franks. 13th is Skipper. And at the rear of the grid is a double. So he'll be looking at making a move forward as quick as he can. But yeah, it's a stunning qualifying lap there by Nerdy. As I say, nearly 0.4 of a second taking pole. So hats off to him for that one.
Welcome to Austin, Texas for the United States Grand Prix. With lots of overtaking opportunities, this track is quickly becoming a firm fan favourite. As the clock ticks down to lights out, let's join the teams down on the grid. It's the Circuit of the Americas then, situated 14 miles outside of the great city of Austin. This is a 3.6-mile lap with 20 corners, 10 to the left and 10 to the right, and top speeds of around 200 miles per hour. Overtaking opportunities are available into turns 1 and 12, especially with that rear wing DRS wide open.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We are now on the formation lap for the last time this season. As I say, brings to a close division season 5 for DTR. Been a successful season. Obviously, attendances unfortunately fell away towards the end of the season. I think some of that was down to people struggling a bit with the game. We have season 6 coming up, which is a short season, be 10 rounds, and then we'll be looking at starting season 7 once the new game gets released. So hopefully that will bring some people back. But yeah, please join in season 6. It'll be the last one on F1 22. So we can have a bit of fun and say goodbye to it. Also, next week, I'd just like to say that Wednesday, 8 o'clock, we'll have the Race of Champions. So, as I've said to you before, it is basically where everybody brings in... everybody that has won a championship is invited. We also then have the... well, not the option, but the awards that get given each season as well, such as sort of the most gentleman award, the most improved driver, etc, etc. So I mean, so some of the qualifiers that we've got so far are DTR No Jug, we've got N Spatis, we've got Bassett, Rancy, Hans Buer, the champion here, has qualified. Bogorowski, winner of DO in the A season, has qualified as well. We've got Dimex, we have Stavroulis, Felix the Pirate, Zingle, Ascalos, Jurek. Then we have the likes of Tool 8 Mate, Maggot, TF Links, Donkey Dan, Nicky Lauder, Brandon and Riker are all possible at the end there. It just depends on who else is available and who isn't. But be a good race. Always a good spectacle at the end of the season. So well worth a watch. Right, okay, so we are forming up the grid for the last time. Round number 12. We are for 5 red lights. Lights are out and away we go. I don't see anybody getting a bullet start, but it's not an absolute brilliant. Saying that, Price has got a bullet start. What has happened to Nerdy? Nerdy has had an absolute shocking start. Pole position down into 6. I only think he might have got some wheel spin. But so not too much dramas there. Brother Adam taking to the exit road. So not too many dramas, but as I say, Nerdy losing. I mean, down into 8th position now, so that's a 7 position loss. Crudor as well down to 9th. So I wonder if... Where was Crudor? Crudor was behind Price. No, I'm not sure what happened there. I did wonder if maybe Nerdy might have been very, very slow getting away, which would have hindered Crudor behind. But he wasn't. He'd have had full place behind him. But nevertheless, so not a good opening lap for the AlphaTauris. Chef JB just losing position there to the Haas of Baldi. So his jump out prize has taken the incentive and gone, but behind him we have the Mercedes of MBB with Kieran up into 3rd position, so he's up 3 positions from the start of the race as well. So good start from those guys. Kieran looking up the inside, they are going to go side by side. Good, nice space given, but he has left himself wide open now for Havoc to take the advantage going around the corner. I don't believe you should go side by side through the S's. It's not going to work. One of you will go off, and you will probably lose another position to Beldy behind now as well. Okay, so we've got some good little bit of fighting going on, certainly through the S's. No one is prepared to give a quarter. And unfortunately there we have Baldi, who was making his way up through the grid. And now we'll need to make a pit for a new front wing. I think he's broken his front wing. Let's have a quick look, Baldi. No, that's the rear wing, always handy. Yeah, he's got no front wing at all, so we'll need to come in. But this is where the battle is at. We are currently have a DRS train from 3rd position all the way down to 9th, with DRS just about to be enabled at the end of this lap as well. But Price has had a absolute stonking start. Who have we lost there? Jurek is out. Oh, God's sake. Looks like Brother Adam and Jurek have had a coming together. So we have a yellow in that sector, but so far we don't have a double, just about missing. Quite sure how that is not worthy of a safety car, but it looks like it has now been cleared. So we have our first retirement on lap number 2. So the current Constructors champions, neither of them are now in this race. Let's just change the interval there. I'm going to have a quick look at tyres, because we have Havoc, who is on the hards, and Double on the hards. Everybody else going for the mediums. The other thing to note here is that I think it's quite a thirsty track, so hopefully they haven't gone too low on fuel, or they will be We'll be doing some fuel saving towards the end of the race. So Prize current fastest lap 39.1. I think that is going to get shattered as we go on with the race. Obviously with certainly some of these on the fresh, going on the fresh mediums. Pit stop's going to be round about 12 laps on the mediums, switching onto the hards for 16, so about 12 to 14 laps. And obviously you're looking at about sort of 14 to 16 laps for the hard runners before they come in and put those mediums on. Is also possible to do a hard to soft here. So it's a stretch, but you can sort of do 21, 22 laps on the hards and then eke out the softs a bit. But the normal strategy, as per pretty much every Grand Prix, is medium hards, hard medium. Nerdy making his way back up through the grid, so up into 5th place again. So after dropping down to 8th early, working his way back up. So now up into 4th and on the back of Havoc. So recovering well after that first lap. Well, I don't think it was his first lap, it was by the time he got to the first corner he'd lost so many places. So I could only put it down to perhaps too much wheel spin or a bad start, maybe a bit of a tap, but not 100% sure. But either way, it is good to see him making his way back up. So Chef was all over the back of Kieran there, literally within a tenth. I think perhaps he got a little bit too close. So Frack's picking up a time penalty there. Again, can be so costly if you get to the point of the safety car. Okay, going to keep an eye on there, but I'm just going to jump on board with Prize. He has so taken the initiative from the start and pulled himself out a pretty much a 5-second lead now. So getting on for a second a lap. He is quicker than the Mercedes behind him. I think Nerdy might have something to say if he can make his way past Havoc and MBB. But Havoc also doing well considering he is on the hard, so I'm sure he'll be quite happy to sit behind his teammate, use the DRS, save some ERS, and keep Nerdy hopefully at bay behind him. But good to see Prize doing well. So he's been a very good driver this year. He's just needs to learn when to go for that move. I think he's a little bit too much of impatience sometimes has been his Achilles heel this year. But he seems to have taken it on board, and certainly his last few races have been better. Obviously today being out in front makes it very difficult for you to have any contact with anyone, but we will see. Nerdy now is all over the back of Havoc. He is gonna look to get past him, I think, on this lap, if not before, along the back straight. Baldy now with the fastest lap, 38.469, obviously on those fresh mediums after only doing 2 laps before having an unfortunate incident with a metal barrier that seemed to jump out of nowhere and hit him. But Nerdy is literally in the shadows of Havoc now, going through the S's if he can keep as close as he possibly can, and then heading down to turn number 11, get a really good exit onto the straight and use DRS hopefully to pull him past. But obviously Havoc will be getting the DRS from his teammate in front, which will help him. So it is going to come down really to ERS. Okay, have a quick look at the chat. Who have we got? Kai. Evening, Kai. Good to see you. Ralph as well. Ralph, good to see you. Shame you're not on track. Look forward to seeing you next season racing. Award for the best comms available. Unfortunately not. We don't have a best commentator, but then we just have good commentators. Right the way from Bogorovsky on 1. Then we have Hammers on 3. On 2, we've been having Kieran Trollface, who has been covering for us. Obviously myself on 5, and on Div 4 we have the fun duo of Dimex and No Jug, who make every commentary interesting. But no, we haven't got an award for the best commentator, but no, what I will do is give a big shout out to everybody that has done the commentary. Obviously without them we wouldn't have the live streams that we can watch back, and well, some of them we enjoy, some of them we don't. It depends how your race has gone, I suppose. But no, we've got a good bunch there. So good evening. Oh, bless you, Kai. Thank you, mate. What you after? Right, okay, back to the race. So Nerdy has made his way past MBB whilst I was wittering away about what fantastic comms teams that we have, and is hot now on the back of Havoc. Crudor as well, looking at making a move, but hasn't recovered quite as quickly as Nerdy. But then saying that, looks for a move up the inside. The Chef thinks better of it and ducks back in behind. Nerdy really now closing on to the back of Havoc. Obviously Havoc, oh, we've lost Kieran. Unfortunately, Kieran having a bit of a spin in turn number 15, so some good work has pushed him back, losing a couple more positions there. We'll drop down to 10th. Let's get back to this Nerdy battle, see if he can get himself on. Chat Bog for best comms, for the best moment. Oh, Bog's commentaries are legendary. I still remember. I think it was a race with my teammate Enns, and he got a 5-second penalty at Saudi Arabia, and I just remember Bog on live comms just saying, "You deserve a smack bottom," and it was just one of those off the cuff comments, but it was so funny. But no, hopefully I might be joining forces with Bogorovsky next season, so we might have us back as a duo, but obviously just need to make sure that we have all of the events covered for everybody. Right, Nerdy I think is going to go for the move here. I'm not quite sure how he is on ERS. I don't think he's too bad. He's got about the 30-odd%. He will be draining it now to get his way past Havoc. And he does, but Havoc not gearing it up either. So they are side by side. I think Nerdy just getting the better drive out of there, but Havoc again getting a good drive around the outside. It should be Nerdy's corner really, but Havoc again not giving up. He's keeping his nose in there and keeping the position. Excellent defending there by Havoc. Certainly wasn't prepared to give up that. Oh yes, sorry, Kai's referring to his moment at Abu Dhabi, sorry. But these two side by side, sorry, I'll come back to that in a minute because this is some good racing. I say there has been no contact. Hopefully that will continue. Certainly if I can get a decent camera angle, it'd be even nicer. But Nerdy putting the pressure all over the back of Havoc at the moment. But yeah, going back to this, it was Kai had done so well at Abu Dhabi and was literally, he was just about to win the Grand Prix. Bog was saying, well done Kai, just how well he'd done, and literally coming out the final turn, Kai unfortunately got a snap of oversteer on the back, and it forced him into the wall probably about a metre before the finishing line, so unfortunately he didn't win that one, and Bog's reaction was priceless. But Frax is out. What has happened to Frax? And where has it happened? Through the S's on the left hand side. We have a double yellow, but I don't think this is going to lead to a safety car. Hoping double gets around. Yeah, that's all cleared now. Okay, so get back to this battle for third place. I say Nerdy half a second behind Havoc. I think Nerdy will find that he's probably lost the edge on those medium tyres now, whereas Havoc's have probably come up to a nice temperature and they're a good operating window. I think Nerdy, all he needs to do is just stay within DRS. I think the win might be a little bit of a stretch now, unfortunately, because of his poor start, but I mean certainly working his way back from 8th position back up into 3rd and 2nd, just ahead of him, just within reach. MBB closing on to the back of Kieran as well. So Kieran's had a bit of an eventful race, couple of spins. Back to here. I don't want to miss this overtake, if there is one. But Nerdy lining that up now. I just think Havoc just getting a better exit out of turn number 11 there each time. He just puts Nerdy on the back foot a little bit, but lots of time to come, and so I thought Nerdy was going to go for a move up the inside there. I think he thought about it. A little bit of a kiss from behind, just say, don't forget I'm here. This is the closest we have on track other than Kieran. He's desperate to get past Skipper here by the looks of it. Washed out a little bit wide there. Double picking up a time penalty as well. Kieran having to come off the throttle there. Who's that in? Chef JB into the pit, so he gets rid of those mediums. Probably a lap early actually. He's probably going to try the undercut. Let's see if he can jump a couple of places. But it's just a warm-up on the hards that's so difficult. Yeah, once you get them warm, they're not too bad, but it's just that initial 2 or 3 laps, just trying to get that decent amount of heat into them. Kieran all over the back of Skipper now. Kieran gets a much better... Well, no, he didn't. I thought he was getting a better exit there, but then it didn't get on the throttle quite as early as Skipper. Skipper just putting out that half a second now. He's going to make it difficult to close up under ERS. MBB obviously behind as well. So lap number 11 of 28 SE2 retirements. Mighty Frax unfortunately getting caught out in the S's, and Jurek, I can't remember where that was actually. I think that was turn 15, but my memory's not brilliant. Nerdy and Havoc. Oh, I thought he was past him, but he has come into the pits. Prize coming into the pits as well. So Havoc will take the race lead, obviously courtesy of being, well, starting on the hard tyres, so not pitting yet. Prize getting ahead, just ahead of Skipper, which is good for him. Nerdy unfortunately coming out just behind, but he has managed to keep ahead of Crudor. So Crudor pitting as well onto the fresh hards. So this is where they're initially going to struggle, just with the warm-up phase. Who do I think will win? Good evening, Bob. Good to see you, sir. Who do I think will win this? If he keeps his head, Prize. would be my guess on that, but you've got the likes of Havoc can go long, and as it showed yesterday with a safety car at the right time, that can be a strong strategy. Nerdy's capable of winning Crew Door, but no, I think I would put my money on Prize. It'd be who do you guys think is gonna win today? Yeah, big shame for Kieran. As I say, he had a really strong start, but I don't think it's over for him yet. He has pitted, and there's some cars in front of him that haven't pitted yet. So obviously Skipper, MBB and Baldy. So he could be looking at sort of up 3 positions there. MBB coming into the pits as we speak. And so is Composite. Right, so let's jump back to the front. So Havoc with that 14-second lead over Prize, but obviously Prize has already pitted. So Prize, yes, he did pit earlier than everybody else, but I think it's more than doable. But yeah, the late safety car and everything is up in the air. Currently Skipper I think Skipper and Double are the only that haven't pitted yet. Just have a quick look. Stops, yeah. Oh, and Connor as well, sorry, yes. So Connor, Skipper and Double. Let's have a look at the pen situation. They've all got 3 except Kieran with 6, so yeah, not been the day Kieran wanted. So despite a strong start. 24. I think Skipper will be coming into the pits soon. And how soon is that? There we go, straight into the pits. So Skipper did not a bad season for him, to be honest. He's been sort of round the top 5 or 6 for most of the championship. I think he's just sort of fallen away a little bit as the season has progressed, but a strong season from him again. Good to see him and Composite. Could run back next season again. Right, so how are we doing? Let's get the tyres back up so I can see where we are. So everybody is now on the hard tyres. So we'll just have Havoc and Double that will need to pit. I don't know if Double will, because he might have done it on lap 1, but no, he hasn't pitted, so no. Right. The Prize bringing that gap down now. Got his tyres up to temperature, so he's pulled in about a second. So a lot of gaps have opened up now, whereas before we had everybody within a nice DRS train capable of overtaking. We seem to have sort of 2.5 seconds between pretty much everybody, or bigger gaps. Brother Adam there picking up a 3-second time penalty. I think that might give him 6 in total. That's indeed. So how are we looking at warning wise? Havoc obviously with the penalty as well now, so basically his lead is 10 seconds rather than 13 if you're going to look at it that way. Warning wise, we have Prize has 1, Nerdy has 2. So Nerdy close to picking up a time penalty as well. Prize, so keeping it cleanish so far, 1 warning. And a half second gap now, so closing that down by half a second again. So Havoc is, when's he gonna pit? 12.5, so seems to be that Prize is making up about a half a second in the first sector, so obviously around the S's I think he's obviously more confident on the fresher rubber. Nerdy 5.2 behind Prize, so he's keeping him honest there as well, and you know, both of those without pens, but obviously they've got to look at those warnings, 2 for Nerdy and 1 for MBB. Losing a position to Skipper there. So I wonder if MBB made a bit of a mistake, but Nerdy is chipping away on this gap on Prize. The gap between Havoc and Prize now seems to pretty much have stabilised around about the 12.5 second gap. But this is the nearest battle we have going on at the moment, which is MBB on the back of Skipper. For 7th place, MBB obviously with, I think, 6 seconds worth of penalties. MBB is... No, 3 seconds, my apologies. Closing in under using DRS. Getting that back down to the half second, or it got out to about 0.7, 0.8. So I think Skipper might just have the legs on him. A little snap of oversteer there by MBB. And then Kieran closing in as well. So Kieran could still look at getting a decent recovery if he can get himself past MBB and skip a composite 10 up the MBB. Having a bit of a spin there, so Kieran does find his way past him, so up into 8th. But Crudor now. Oh, nerd! Oh, Havoc has pitted. That's why I've missed it. Sorry, I thought I had missed an overtake there. But Havoc has pitted and come out 3.5 seconds behind Nerdy and ahead of Crudor. So not badly worked out for Havoc in the end, actually. Coming out 3rd place. So 3.8 seconds back. Just need a lap to get those mediums up to temperature. And it will give him round about 10-11 laps to try and close down an 8-second gap. I'm not going to say it's not possible, because I saw last night that you can be almost a second and a half quicker on the mediums compared to hards, or you know, sort of worn softs towards the end. So Havoc not out of this yet, but Crudor not out of it either. Sitting on the back of Havoc, will obviously be using his DRS to drag himself along, hopefully onto the back of Nerdy. Nerdy closing that gap down in front now, down to 4.5 seconds. So we were up at sort of over 5 seconds, so chipping away at it, but I think Prize does have this in control if he can just keep his head. So yeah, the gap's opening out again a little bit at the moment. So Crudor recovering from 4th after, as I say, him and Nerdy having poor start, certainly up into turn 1, dropping right the way down the grid, sort of 8th and 9th, but have worked their way back up. I'm sure Nerdy would like to make up that 1 extra place, which, I mean, he's dipped down just under 4 seconds there, so he is closing. But he's going to have a charging Connor behind him very, very shortly, because Connor has got those tyres up to temperature now. And the gap already down to 3 seconds. We'll see how quickly that tumbles down. But Nerdy also, as I say, putting a dent into Prize. So we could end up with here. We could still end up with a nice sort of three-way battle towards the end here. I think Crudor might have made a slight mistake there, dropping off the back by a couple of seconds now. So certainly out of that comfort DRS zone of Havoc that he was hoping to pull himself along to Nerdy. So Crudor might be a bit too far back now. Kieran, we have someone within a second. Kieran is closing on to the back of Skipper. Currently the Ferrari's in a good position of 6th and 7th, both scoring up points. AlphaTauri's obviously in 2nd and 5th. I'll keep an eye, see if that closes, but Nerdy he has got a bit between his teeth at the moment. Looking at his ERS, is not too bad, around about sort of 40%. Prize has pretty much drained his. Kieran still on the back. Able to get past the Skipper, is flashing in front, so has used all of his ERS down under 10%, so that is going to affect his power on the straight. But Nerdy now 2.7 seconds, the gap is tumbling. We were 5, nearly 6 seconds at one point. Nerdy's chipping away, but I mean, he was nearly half a second quicker than everybody in qualifying. Now showing his pace completely. Hans Buer has joined us in the YouTube chat. Good evening to our champion. Glad you could join us. So unfortunately, I'm not commentating on you, but I hope you're feeling better, sir, and get yourself well for next week's Race of Champions. But currently, prize winning Crudor in 4th. Crudor will still qualify as runner-up for the Race of Champions next season, so there was a 20-point gap between the two. So prize currently, 25 points. So certainly not enough to snatch that 2nd place. Kieran is still all over the back. Braking a bit late there, but actually he did get a decent run, but that is not going to be good enough for that. But Nerdy right, so still 2.5 seconds. He can see Prize ahead of him. I'm sure Prize can see him in his mirrors as well. So 2.4, so he is closing. We have 8 laps to go, including the one that we are on. But look at that as well. Havoc 1.8 seconds now behind Nerdy. This could be a ding dong in the last couple of laps if they can all close up. Obviously Nerdy continuing to close up on Prize, Havoc continuing to close up. This could be, we could see a good battle for the last couple of laps, hopefully, for the final race of the season. Nerdy get down to 2.2, so another 0.2 taken there. So Nerdy out front. What we'll do is let's have a quick look and see who has ERS 8% for Prize, Nerdy 32%, Havoc at 51%. crude oil at nearly 100%. But none of them seem to be having fuel issues. We've got no flashing lights there at all, so we will keep that on just for interest for the remainder here. But yeah, as Bob put in the chat, price does look to just be getting a little bit nervous at the moment. That gap now down to 2 seconds, just over 2 seconds. 7 laps, including the one we are on. Havoc putting in a fast stat, 38.029. So 38.890 last time from Nerdy, a 39.1 from Prize, and a 38.0 from Havoc. Gap 1.9, 1.8. Prize, I think, is getting a little bit twitchy up front. He's getting his yeah, twitchy bum time, I think they call it in football or something. It's but it's, yeah, it's nothing worse than when you see a car behind you and it's closing, and you think you're doing absolutely everything you can to keep ahead. The gap down to 1.6 now, sorry, 1.8 and 1.62 Connor behind. So we have the front three separated by about 3.2 seconds at the moment, with 6 and a bit laps left to go. 1.4 second gap now. Who's that coming out of the pits? Hopefully they get and stay out of the way, which they have. I think that was Kieran. In fairness, it was either Kieran or Double. I think Double, yeah. So well done for actually getting yourself out the way there. I think unfortunately Price got a little bit unsettled there, overtaking the back marker, so he's just dropped himself down about 3/4 of a second, but that has put him under huge amount of pressure from Havoc behind on those fresh mediums. As DRS has ERS, so looking at making a move on Nerdy going defensive to the inside. Havoc looking at making the move and driving right the way around the outside. Nerdy not having any of it. Let's jump to the outside camera so we can see. We're going to see some side by side. We've seen this before as well. Havoc going up the inside and Nerdy just keeping his foot in. The inside will be coming up. Get a decent drive, he doesn't, and Havoc takes that position. I think the superior grip of the medium tyres. So Nerdy down into third, but don't give up yet if you can sit yourself on the back of Havoc, and hopefully he can draw you right up to Prize and get yourself involved in a three-way fight. But lead now has expanded to nearly 3 seconds, obviously down to Havoc and Nerdy putting on a good show. Neither of them prepared to give up the position, but both of them giving space, which is fantastic to see. So 2.9, can Havoc close that gap down? The gap back out to 3.1 now. I wonder if Prize has just settled down a little bit. I think sometimes if you look at it and you know, the car behind then loses a bit of time and it doesn't stretch, you just settles you down a bit, thinking, oh, they're not going to catch me quite as quick. So perhaps he has just settled himself down. Havoc as well with that time penalty, so obviously that is going to ruin his second place. Unless he can pull out 3 seconds on Nerdy, which looks unlikely. Nerdy seems quite happy just sitting behind at the moment and using the DRS to pull himself along. Gap down to 2.7 now, so closing ever so slightly at the front. But all Nerdy has to do is stay within 3 seconds of Havoc, and he'll put himself up into second place on the podium. Havoc looking likely to keep the third step, with Crudor a further sort of 9 seconds back. So they've got a bit of a buffer there. So Nerdy just staying within that second, so we'll be using Havoc to pull him along to prize if he possibly can. But we're running out of time. We have 4 laps left, including the one that we are on. And Kieran finally makes the move on Skipper. I've been watching that one, sort of thinking he's going to go for the move at some point, and finally does it when I'm not looking. So Kieran recovering into 7th place. I think he's been in pretty much most positions except the lead today. Though be good to see. Oh, God's sake! And then with that, Skipper is back past Kieran. So I think Kieran must have made a mistake, probably up at turn number 1. So yep, just when you think someone's gained a position, they've lost a position. Let's just check the pens. Yep, Havoc does have the +3, so yeah, still be looking at 3rd place finish. 12 seconds for Kieran. Oof, crikey. Baldy with 6, MBB with 12, 6 and 12. Well, it's very symmetrical down the bottom. 12, 6, 12, 6, 12. So gap down to just over a couple of seconds, but I think Prize has enough now. So I did think he would have enough to win it, but I have to admit, when Havoc and Nerdy were closing him down at a rate of knots, you did have to question it. I think Prize was just a bit of squeaky bum time, as well as, you know, perhaps just trying to get himself into a rhythm on those hard tyres. But it doesn't matter what you do within those 28 laps, it's finishing first that matters. So lap number 26, we will soon be starting the penultimate lap. Gap down, gap still at 2.2. So I think Prize is going to put himself. I think he's going to bring himself home the win. But I mean, yeah, Havoc and Nerdy have hounded him pretty much for most of the race. Baldy and MBB exchanging positions there. So I think that might have been a small off-ski. So Prize starting his penultimate lap now. They come home obviously taking the win, 25 points. Crudor in 4th. Will still mean that Crudor will be the runner-up in the championship and will qualify for the Race of Champions. Prize can't do any more than that, I suppose, other than go out and win and see where your competitor finishes. But Crudor in 4th place with a 12-second gap on 5th, so I think that is pretty much done and dusted from that point of view. But Nerdy certainly has not given up on 2nd place outright on the track. Doesn't need to make the overtake with Connor with the 3-second pen, but it's still always nice to finish ahead on the track rather than after penalties or stewards' inquiries, etc. So penultimate lap, just as we're finishing this, just a big shout out and a thank you to everyone for this season, for obviously the admin team, Bogorovsky, Wesley, Mamba, myself and Shabby. So we worked hard to get this all up and running for you. Hope you've enjoyed it. A big thanks to the comms team, to all the coordinators, to the stewards, to our social media staff, to everybody that has helped to make this season a success. Thank you so much. We really do value your support. And to anybody out there who thinks, you know, they'd like to give comms a go, or they have something to offer with social media, any graphics or anything, you know, please drop us a direct message. You don't have to commit and get yourself involved in anything, but every little helps. So if you feel that you've got something to offer, and you can give some spare time, it would be appreciated. Right, so last lap, gap down to 1.5 seconds. So Havoc giving it, I think, pretty much everything on this final lap, but knows he's not just 1.5 seconds behind, he's 4.5 seconds behind with that penalty. BB Baldi and MBB have been exchanging positions quite a lot on these last few laps as well. They might offer us something. Yeah, and then MBB picking up the penalty there. They're obviously trying a little bit hard to get himself back. Kieran off again, is it? Oh, Kieran, one of those days, mate. MBB and Baldi changing positions again. MBB up into 8th, Baldi down into 9th. But we are going to stick with the leader now as he comes into the complex of turns 16, 17 and 18 up to the left-hander of number 19. Down to turn number 20 and the gap down 2.7 now. So Baldi taking the win. Nerdy coming home in second after the penalty to Connor. Connor getting that 3rd position on the podium. So a great recovery there from Nerdy after the opening lap. Crudar bringing it home in 4th and securing 2nd in the championship and his entry to Race of Champions next week. Chef JB bringing the AlphaTauri home in 5th, so a 2nd and 5th for AlphaTauri today. Pretty good day for them. We have the Ferraris coming home in 6th and 7th. MBB after an eventful day as well is going to go 8th. No, it looks he's out of fuel. Oh, he's out of fuel. Baldi's flashing as well. Oh, MBB is out of fuel. What a bugger. So Baldi will comfortably bring home 8th position now. MBB, I'm hoping, will still get 9th. Oh, has Baldi crossed the line? Yeah, he has, MBB. So Kieran will be last to finish in 10th place. Again, looks like he is out of fuel. So nearly there, you can coast it down this hill now, chuck a left, and that's job done. Season finished. Have yourself a couple of weeks off, get a bit of practice in, and we'll see you back for season number 6. So that brings to an end round number 12, USA Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. Nerdy getting driver of the day there. That's a good recovery from him there. So there's prize coming out to the Acclaim. Shooting a few arrows there. But prize taking the win. 2nd place going to Nerdy, as I say, not on the track, but due to a penalty. And Havoc Connor on the alternate strategy, going from hard on to mediums, finishing only 3/4 of a second in the end behind prize. But unfortunately picking up that 3-second penalty, dropping him to 3rd on the podium. We'll just run through the classified results. So confirmation that Prize Phantom taking the win in the Alfa Romeo. Nerdy Nerdy Average Gamer taking second in the AlphaTauri, and Havoc Connor taking third in the Mercedes. Then we have Crudor, Chef JB, Composite Skipper, BV Baldi, MBB, and Kieran rounding out the top 10. Then a double in 11th and Brother Adam in 12th, and then the unfortunate non-finishers of the Mighty Frax and Durek. The fastest lap as well going to Brother Adam in the end with a 37.734, but unfortunately finishing in 12th and outside the points will not get that extra point. Right, so that brings to a close season 5. As I said, thank you ever so much for everybody that's been involved. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know the game perhaps hasn't been up to expectations for everybody at times, but we've got one more short season, and then F1 23 will be released. So look forward to seeing everybody signing up, and see you in season 6. Please tune in next week for the Race of Champions. I say 8 o'clock on Wednesday. It will be streamed live on YouTube, so please tune in and offer your support for that. And everybody else, I will look forward to commentating next season. Not quite sure which division at the moment, but I'm sure I'll be back on one or the other. Have yourself a nice break. Enjoy some downtime, and I'll see you back in season 6. So for myself, Nell Boy, thank you ever so much for season 5. I think probably my highlight of the season has got to go to Chef JB at Portimao for doing the no stop basically race on the wets, and not pit stopping at all and taking the win, as well as the chaos of Monza. So I'm sure there'll be many more next year. But for myself, thank you